You once told me that you wouldn't even wait a few days before you started being a cannibal. So.
It's true. But I hold deer in higher esteem than I hold most people. They're more honorable.
That's a good point.
And the modern American has a lot of fat on them, so it's just good business.
It's just good business.
Yeah. I'm going to render that down and sell it.
Jars of rendered human fat.
Yeah.
Oh. Things are escalating around the world, and I could see things possibly turning into a civil unrest situation. And let's say, hypothetically, I was on the road doing an errand of some sort, and the world being as crazy as it is, I got hijacked and kicked out of my vehicle and left with what you see here. And that's kind of going to be the scenario for this. Most of the time, I would want to avoid buildings and structures if I'm trying to get my way back home, because that's what I would be trying to do, get back home to where all my gear and my family is. I'd want to be avoiding gear or buildings and structures like this at all costs if possible. But if I'm left with nothing, just the stuff in my pockets, it may be realistic that I might want to seek out shelter. Let's say the weather is terrible. Let's say it's pouring down rain. Let's say I'm injured a little bit and I need a place to lay up for a little while. Who knows what that scenario could look like, but this potentially could be it. Most of our videos are survival type things. We're doing them in the wilderness, you know, but most likely you're not going to be caught in the wilderness unless that's where you're putting yourself on purpose. You're going to be in a suburbia area with abandoned structures like this that you might be able to utilize, and that's kind of what this experiment we're going to do is going to be all about. Let's say, for example, if I wanted to utilize this building, this structure, and anything that's in it, what would I do if I was going to approach it? I would wait at least 24 hours. At least 24 hours before I went up to that building to make sure it's not currently occupied. Because if we're talking about that, you know, post-event civil unrest times, there may be somebody with the same idea that I've got using this building, and that people cause problems. So what I would do is I would first examine this road, and I would see how heavily trafficked it might be. Is someone coming in and out of this thing every single day? I don't know. But unless I stake it out for a little while, I'm not going to know. So what I would do is I would tuck myself back in this wood lineup. I would go probably at least 20 yards into this thicket here, and I would tuck myself in there, and I would just watch this building for about 24 hours until I felt comfortable. And I might even make my way around full 360 degrees all the way around the whole thing just to see if there's other avenues of approach. This road here is the only road coming in here because I've walked it before. This is the only road, so chances are if anybody comes into this building, it's going to be on this road right here. No one's going to go through the woods. Everybody's going to follow this path of least resistance. That's just the way we work. So I'd watch this road, I'd watch that building, and I would see if it's currently occupied. If not, green lights, I can go approach it and see if I can find the things that might meet my needs. Food, fire, water, shelter, all that stuff, just to enable me to gather the resources that I might need to get myself home. My first priority is going to be water. Does this place have water for me to drink? Because if it's already been 24 hours and I've got nothing on me, I don't have any water bottles on me, I got nothing other than a trash bag in my pocket that I maybe could collect some water in. I don't have any, so I would want to see if this place has that step one, water. I would be checking it out to see if there's a well on this property that I could maybe tap into. And I see a concrete box right over here. That's probably the wellhead. I don't know that to be a fact, but maybe I could drop something down in there and collect some water out of that. Wells in this area are 300 feet deep on average, I would say. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the water is 300 feet deep. The water may be near the surface. Water contaminants might be an issue. If you're downstream of a chicken house, drinking out of the water is probably a no-go. But this being deep enough may not be an issue. slide this out of here. Let's see. And being part of my EDC, I have a flashlight. Good news is I see water. I see water down there, which is a good thing, but I don't know if it's going to be safe to drink. Look at that. It looks pretty crummy. Stagnant-y. This is an old well. They don't make them like that anymore. So here's our well. Water looks really stagnant looking. That doesn't mean it's not drinkable, but we'd probably have to do some purification techniques to it, and we would have to devise a way to get that water out of there. I'm confident that I'm going to be able to find some junk around here that I can rig up to bail some water out. But let's go take a look. I'm always keeping in mind that I want to keep a low profile in this place because this isn't mine. I don't belong here necessarily. So I've got concealment from the road, from these big trees, these big evergreens over here. And I'm just trying to kind of stay in the low land and stay as low vis as possible. This is a semi-non-permissive environment that we're discussing here. This is our hypothetical situation. And I just don't want to put myself out there where I can, you know, possibly have confrontations. So remember, I've cased this joint out for about 24 hours now. There's been no movement, no people in it that I can see. Couple of doors here, don't know if they're locked, but we can check them just to see. If they are locked, we can find an alternative way in. That's too good to be true right there, right? It's about a couple hundred feet of awesome rope.
Is this a nursing home?
At first glance, this place is basically Treasure Island here. There's piles of what some would consider junk. But
oh, look, there's even decorating.
That's right.
We have red flowers.
Ooh.
For Christmas.
We could really jazz this place up.
We could. We should.
We should.
This place needs a little pizzazz.
But I could probably source some cordage in here and save my prime paracord in my pocket for later use. And I could probably find some sort of container that I could collect that water out of the bottom of that well with. Like that's pretty much ideal for collecting water. With the bale, small bucket like this, it's got a bale on it I could easily attach some cordage to. I mean, this is probably enough that I've got here, this wire. I could use this for all sorts of things, trapping, snaring. So remember in this scenario, it's been over 24 hours since I've had a drink of water. And I don't know if you've ever gone 24 hours without drinking water before, but that's pretty much all you can think about.
Okay, cut. So what I'm going to need from you is I'm going to need you to in this post-apocalyptic type of motif, this refugee type situation, to squint a little more. Think like Clint Eastwood or maybe Joe Biden, how he's always looking into the sun. He's squinting. Try to channel that, okay?
Should I rough my beard up?
You should rough it up. Take 2. All right, let's go.
It should look a little more disheveled. Hold on.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Get some dirt in it. All right, and we're rolling. In desperation, in search of the most precious liquid on the planet, water, the official soft drink of planet Earth.
So I see what looks like containers, probably looks like what they used to water the chickens with. That's got water in it. Here's a glass bottle.
There you go. Cha-ching.
Yep. Gatorade glass bottle. So I mean, I could scoop my water maybe out of the well with this. I think that's going to work. I don't see why it won't, unless my plastic handle breaks. I could collect it, carry it back with something like this. I could boil it in something like this to get rid of any of the nasties in the water that might potentially make me sick. And if I'm, 20, 30 miles from home, I could get the runs in that time and get seriously dehydrated from that. And that would.
I wonder why they call it the runs, because usually if you have that condition,
you're not running.
The last thing you're going to do is
run. Last thing you're going to do is run.
You might pull off a brisk walk with your cheeks clenched, but you ain't running.
You're not running anywhere.
No, you ain't running.
Sitting. They should call it the sits.
Yeah.
Collect some water. I don't know what's in this. This is probably nasty, but how long has that water been in here?
Decade at least.
That was really clear looking
it.
water.
What would it be smelling like?
It smells clean. Do you see how clear that water is?
$5 if you drink it. I'll give you $5
Here,
to
let's
drink
just,
it.
$5.
$5.
Maybe collect some in it. It's got a lid. Look. It's got a really nasty lid, but it's a lid nevertheless. I haven't checked this building out yet, so we can kind of see what's going on in here. See if it's locked. Doesn't look like it locks at all, so probably not going to be an issue.
Policía, abre la puerta, cabrón.
So we can scope it out.
Hee-haw, Damien, hee-haw.
Let's check the lights. No. Oh. Too good to be true. Nope. Hey, maybe we could wash up. Look at that.
Sanitation is important.
Bone dry.
Bone dry.
Here's a piece of cinder block, that I could probably use for counterweight to get my bucket to tip and fill it up.
Cordage is something that's underestimated.
Yeah.
You think before the Industrial Revolution, before we had you know, hinges and screws and nails and glues and all that, Home Depot, if you wanted to join one thing to another, you generally tied it.
Yep.
So cordage is literally what held civilization together.
So I got a small hole tapped into my bucket.
What knot are you using? Is that the Lithuanian sheepshank redemption?
Yeah.
knot?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the go-to. Lithuanian sheepshank redemption. Not a lot of people know that knot, surprisingly. They don't teach that in the Boy Scouts.
I used a fishing pole and a mason jar once.
Did you? How'd that go? Yeah. So the bucket is submerged. That worked flawlessly.
Oh, that looks like horse urine.
Yep. Not ideal. That's what we're working with in the bottom of this well. A little bit earthy smell. I mean, I would love it if the water came out of there crystal clear and ready to go as is. That would be awesome. However, it did not, and I would not trust this water without first purifying it in some way. No, it's not going well at all. Now she's full. This cap's a bit nasty, so I'm just going to rinse it out with a little bit of water I got out of the well. It has been sitting in the woods for a decade or two. So I'm going to go ahead and cover my well back up. If I'm not using it, there's no need to keep it open for some animal to fall down in there, die, and contaminate the water. And I just want to minimize the signs that I've been here as much as possible.
Put your back into it, lad. It's just a wee stone.
This is why you work out, right? This is why you exercise, so you can tap into a well.
Well, you never know what you'll be called upon to do, but it's not going to be easy. We know that.
Be prepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means physically, mentally, emotionally, being prepared.
Stay ready. You ain't got to get ready.
That's what I be saying.
Mm-mm.
Shoot.
I've been saying it for years.
Hey, really, you have?
I have.
There's no shortage of trash like this, plastic bottles around that I can store the water in, but I have not seen a lot of things that I could possibly boil it into, like glass jars and things of that nature. I haven't seen any really quality metal containers. I mean, there's paint buckets and there's galvanized stuff, but that's not ideal. I mean, if you were gonna die of dehydration, that's one thing, but if I can at all help it, I'm gonna boil my water in something that's not gonna kill me later on down the line. I could purify water with the sun and just leave it in clear containers and let the sun kind of just kill any nasties that might be in it, but it's not sunny today and that's not gonna work. So really my options are gonna be chemical treatments, but I don't have that on me. Probably should add that to my EDC if life was getting pretty nasty. Add some iodine tablets or something in my pockets would be really smart, but I don't have that.
I do. My wallet survival kit has water purification
Alan
tablets.
Kay, however, is the most prepared individual on the face of the earth.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I don't know. You're high up there. And he has a way to purify water on his person. I am not as prepared, so I've got to be a little bit more MacGyver-y. So I'm gonna boil some water today. Pretty heavily used game trail right here. If you were packing heat, such as a concealed carry, and you posted up inside this chicken house and waited for a deer to walk by, that is less than a 10-yard shot, which I am 100% confident I could make on a large game animal. So if you wanted to get a fresh source of meat, that's something that you could do.
You're heartless, man. That's ice cold.
You once told me that you wouldn't even wait a few days before you started being a cannibal. So.
It's true. But I hold deer in higher esteem than I hold most people. They're more honorable.
That's a good point.
And the modern American is a lot of fat on them, so it's just good business.
It's just good business.
Yeah, I'm going to render that down and sell it.
Jars of rendered human fat.
Yeah.
Oh. So as I'm walking around this building, I'm not just looking for glass bottles. I've got my eyes peeled for all kinds of different stuff. I see wire. Looks like what used to be an old live trap over there that may be able to be put back into service. I see these cinder blocks. I've already got an idea what I'm gonna do with these cinder blocks. This is how I'm gonna build my fire. A rocket stove of sorts. I could obviously build a fire out here in the open, but then I'm much more visible to people around me. I know there's neighborhoods that way, there's homes that way, probably people occupying them. If I'm trying to keep a low profile, I want to be as discreet as possible, and I'm going to build my fire inside the building using these cinder blocks. Something else that'd be an option for me based on what I'm seeing here is collecting rain. It's cloudy, might be some rain coming in. I could just be ready and set up to collect some rainwater. There's a gutter over top of this, over top of the doorway here to keep rain from splashing into the doorway. I could collect the water off this roof, out of the gutter, and just place a bucket of some sort right here on the ends, on this end and that end, because there's no caps on them. And I could just be staged and ready to go for when it does rain. The roof, I don't know what kind of shape it's in. Yeah, it's a fairly clean metal roof. I'd probably drink that. And for the survival-minded individual, putting a snare right here where that earth's been dug out, and you can see leaves have been pulled down in there to make a nest of some sort. There's a critter that most likely lives in there, and I could snare that puppy when he comes out. There's another glass Gatorade jar. I don't think Gatorade still puts their product in glass jars, so that's an old one. With a cap, so that may be something I could use to transport water when the time comes for me to leave. This glass jar is like I think the word's a terrarium. It's a mini greenhouse. You see the roots and the plants growing inside? That's pretty cool. It's a little like science experiment.
Could be an IED, be careful.
Yeah, that's right. Cleverly disguised. We'll leave that one. Science experiment.
Yeah, they disguise them as terrariums all the time.
The enemy's been doing that for years.
Everybody knows that.
Around these parts, the white pine is the fire tree.
I will carry the wood just this once, but I'll have you know it was not in my contract. I am supposed to do camera things, not gather wood.
Yeah. So what if I busted a hole here, and then this could be where my heat source comes out, and I could feed it from here. So I just need a thing to bust a hole.
We need a
which
piece
I already found. Look
metal.
At this.
Oh, the old tire iron. That works every time.
That's perfect. Afraid that was going to happen. That's what I wanted to happen. I didn't want it to bust all the way out, though. Yeah. So here's another pile of blocks.
What if? Let me see a half. Oh, there we go.
Look at that.
Look, that's a combustion chamber if I ever saw one.
Yeah. Like this, and cap.
Yeah.
That's it.
That would work.
Yeah, that would definitely work.
That would definitely work.
Yeah. I don't need this fire for warmth. I just need it to boil my water. And luckily we came across this piece of block that's shaped like that. I don't know what you would do with that. Run pipe through it or something in your wall. I have no idea. But I'm just thinking I could create some sort of rocket stove by doing that. And then capping it on the back side.
I think maybe we should put something here because then it'll draft better.
Draw more.
Because you're going to have heat loss. Probably bolted on. They really didn't want. Oh, it's got a cotter pin. So one thing to think about, that's the second time you've used the Leatherman, right?
Yeah. This is by far the most useful tool that I carry with me. I use it every day for everything. This is going to make some noise. But let's see what we can do here.
Yep.
Now, if you were without security, as far as like a firearm or something like that, and you really had nothing, I'd definitely be taking that with me.
I think that's probably been Exhibit A in the courtroom a few times.
For sure.
No doubt. And you could even, we could run it whole or we could break it in half. But
Let's just do that.
Let's leave it large because we might use it for something else.
Yeah, there's no reason why that won't work. We could feed the fire from that side, shove our sticks in through there.
Mm-hmm.
And put a grate of some sort on top.
Yeah. Found it. Hardware cloth. That works. This building is an open air building. If we did this outside, the smoke would be instantly noticeable. Of course, once we get the efficiency of the burn,
the smoke's going to go away.
It's going to dissipate.
Yeah. Having the fire inside this building.
Well, look, the smoke already.
Yeah, I could have my water on boiling right now.
Yeah.
I probably should. But look what that's doing to the flame without even capping that.
Yeah, the airflow. Even more efficient.
Yeah, and now all I've got to do is feed the fire with these small twigs.
Or just the tip of the bigger stuff. You can set it in and let it burn as it goes.
Yep. And that's what I'll do. And I can stick my fire. I do not want to get this fire super hot because if I do, almost certainly it's going to crack those blocks.
If we got any smoke out here. No idea. Can you see me?
Yep.
I can't even see you in there.
I 100% see you.
Yeah, because you're kind of in the shadows so deep. I can't see you. I can't see flame. I see no smoke.
I got a 100% bead on you.
Yeah. So that's legit. That's stealth, bro. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because this right over here, all this stuff is
shielding me, and I can make that even better if I wanted to.
Yeah. At nighttime, there would be
a little bit of light,
more light discipline required,
but I wouldn't have to have a fire at night,
Right.
Have to. Doing the dishes here.
Sanitation is important.
It really is.
But I think we overdo it in our culture.
Yeah.
It's good to have a little dirt and fecal matter from time to time. Keep your immune system.
Keep it on. Keep it sharp.
I have an idea.
I could just use my shirt.
I happen to have in my pocket, as always, a little face mask.
I also have said filter.
Yeah, use that, man.
Look at that.
There you go.
Yeah, I've taken to carrying one of these all the time. This is what saved me from the sun, actually, when I was on my last adventure. I kept this wrapped around my neck and my face, and it kept the sunshine off of me.
I carry a balaclava year round, In the winter it's good, and out in the heat it's good.
Yeah, as long as I go real slow. The ambiance in here is really nice too with the flickering.
It is. It's almost like
it's a little bit romantic.
It is.
That's fairly clear looking water.
That looks pretty nice.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gradually introduce this to the heat. Kind of like so. Let the flames start licking it. I don't want to break the glass.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give it one of those.
So your strategy is incrementalism.
Yeah, incrementalism. Is that a word?
It is now.
Yeah, heck yeah, it is. Fire's burning perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, zero smoke. Super efficient right now.
Lots of heat coming off.
Lots of heat.
Yeah.
That's the thing about these is it channelizes.
I'm not losing any heat around it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Almost nothing coming out the.
Wow. Yeah, the top is.
Yeah, it's cooking, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was we got too hot too fast, I think, and we broke our bottle, and now we're putting our fire out. And we're almost boiling too.
Yeah, it was right there.
I think if we went a little too fast, maybe with the heat.
Probably what it was.
So is it possible to boil water in glass? Yeah, it's possible, but you risk breaking the glass unless you're very, very careful with it. So we're going to search around a bit more for hopefully something that we can boil water in, a metal container of sorts. And I'm sure that there's one around here. I mean, where there's things like this, this Folgers can. You could boil water in that, but it's rusty and nasty, and probably
I've done
toxic.
the coffee can thing. It's
probably it'll work, but it's not ideal. But there's all kinds of stuff around here, so we're gonna shop around a bit more. There's a tub. All kinds of plastic things, lots of containers, but hey, some tongs. Hey, we found tongs.
Are you shitting me? Are they plastic tongs or metal?
Metal tongs. Look at that.
Well, that would have come in handy with the bottle. That way to lift it without burning yourself.
And a hole punch.
What is this?
What is that?
You reckon that? I don't know what that is.
Looks like a drying rack or something.
There's
look
a.
at that.
Hey.
Yeah, look at that.
Well, that's plastic. This will work.
That would definitely work. It's like
That's
a dog bowl.
like a pet dish.
We got black cats. You know what we could do? That would be our, if those were still functional, or those are the snaps. That's what I was talking about. If those are still functional,
It's empty.
oh bummer. But you could put those outside the doorway as your early detection.
Early warning system.
I mean, this is the thing you'd want.
This just reinforces having the right stuff.
Yeah.
The metal container, we take that so for granted, but man, what an essential piece of kit. This is a lot to go through just to get a drink of water.
And think of this. It's still been over 24 hours since I've had a drink of water in this scenario, right? I'm real thirsty.
And look at the calories and the time and the walking it's taken just to get all this together.
Yeah.
But, it's easy to get to a place mentally where you're like, I'm just going to roll the dice and drink the water.
Yeah. With this, we don't have to worry about breaking it.
Yeah.
You're not going to break that stainless steel bowl.
And once we have a clean container or reservoir that we've sanitized, we can just keep boiling small batches and adding to our reserve. Do you feel empowered?
I feel very powerful.
Nice.
Yet, how do you put it? Yet slightly vulnerable?
Yeah.
Yet ironically, slightly vulnerable. Having the metal container, that's the score,
That
right?
worked out a lot better than the glass. We could have made the glass work, but when you do find metal, then why would you use an inferior material?
And that is something, if I was on foot, that is 100% something I'm taking with me, without question. But you saw what it takes to find potable water, or make potable water, with just the clothes on your backs and a few things in your pocket, and just being lucky and finding a resource like this. Now, full disclosure, we have permission to be here. This is our buddy's old chicken, his old chicken house, and he throws crap in here, obviously. But this is as is. We didn't change anything. We didn't modify anything. We didn't bring anything here. We just stumbled across it like you would in a real life scenario. And there's junk houses like this all over the place, at least where we live. But pretty much half of a day was devoted to getting a little bit of water to drink. So this whole scenario of, the bugging out situation and living off the land, and it is very, very difficult, especially if you've got to contend with people that don't want you on their property. Because right now we'd be trespassing and having to keep a really, really low profile because understandably somebody might be pissed if we're, camping, making fires inside their chicken house. But there'll be more to come in this chicken house. We're going to do some more stuff, really fun, cool stuff. First step was water, because you can only live a few days without water, and if you've already gone in this scenario over 24 hours without water, that is going to be high on your list. After that, we're going to need to acquire hopefully maybe some foodstuffs. Well, tonight actually, shelter. I mean, our shelter is essentially done because we're going to sleep in this. But if it gets cold tonight, this is a very drafty structure. There's no sides on other than the chicken wire. So maybe we'll devise a way to keep ourselves warm without the use of fire, because the fire is super low vis right now. But at night, you would see that light flickering in here unless we really shield it up, and maybe that's an option too. I don't know yet. So we'll bring you along on the ride as we figure out this stuff together. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Jason Salyer. Alan Kay is behind the camera. Hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.